The Hebrew reading this morning is from Exodus, chapter 34, verses 10 through 28. He said, I hereby make a covenant. Before all you, your people, I will perform miracles, such as have not been performed in all the earth or in any nation. And all the people among whom you live shall see the work of the Lord, for it is an awesome thing that I will do with you. Observe what I command you today. See, I will drive out before you the Amorites, the Canaanites, the Hittites, the Perizzites, the Hivites, and the Jebusites. Take care not to make a covenant with the inhabitants of the land to which you are going, or it will become a snare among you. You shall tear down their altars, break their pillars, and cut down their sacred poles. For you shall worship no other God, because the Lord, whose name is jealous, is a jealous God. You shall not make a covenant with the inhabitants of the land, for when they prostitute themselves to their gods and sacrifice to their gods, someone among them will invite you, and you will eat of the sacrifice. And you will make wives from among their daughters for your sons, and their daughters who prostitute themselves to their gods will make your sons also prostitute themselves to their gods. You shall not make cast idols. You shall keep the festival of unleavened bread. 7 days you shall eat unleavened bread, as I commanded you. At the time appointed in the month of Abib, or the month of Abib, you came out from Egypt. All that first opens the womb is mine. All your male livestock, the firstborn of cow and sheep, the firstborn of a donkey, you shall redeem with lamb. Or if you will not redeem it, you shall break its neck. All the firstborn of your sons you shall redeem. No one shall appear before me empty-handed. 6 days you shall work, but on the 7th day you shall rest. Even in plowing time and in harvest time you shall rest. You shall observe the festival of weeks, the first fruits of wheat harvest, and the festival of ingathering at the turn of the year. 3 times in the year all your males shall appear before the Lord God, the God of Israel. For I will cast out nations before you and enlarge your borders. No one shall covet your land when you go up to appear before the Lord. Let me start that one again. For I will cast out nations before you and enlarge your borders. No one shall covet your land when you go up to appear before the Lord your God 3 times in the year. You shall not offer the blood of my sacrifice with heaven, and the sacrifice of the festival of the Passover shall not be left until the morning. The best of the fruits of your ground you shall bring to the house of the Lord your God. You shall not boil a kid in its mother's milk. The Lord said to Moses, write these words in accordance with these words. I have made a covenant with you and with Israel. He was there with the Lord 40 days and 40 nights. He neither ate bread nor drank water, and he wrote on the tablets the words of the covenant, the 10 Commandments. The epistle reading today is from Romans chapter 12, verses 1 through 3. I appeal to you, therefore, brothers and sisters, by the mercies of God, to present your bodies as a living sacrifice, holy and acceptable to God, which is your spiritual worship. Do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your minds, so that you may discern what is the will of God, what is good and acceptable and perfect. For by the grace given to me, I say to everyone among you, not to think of yourself more highly than you ought to think, but to think with sober judgment, each according to the measure of faith that God has assigned. And our final reading is the Gospel reading, John chapter 12, verses 1 through 8. 6 days before the Passover, Jesus came to Bethany, the home of Lazarus, whom he had raised from the dead. There they gave a dinner for him. Martha served, and Lazarus was one of those at the table with him. Mary took a pound of costly perfume made of pure nard, anointed Jesus' feet, and wiped them with her hair. The house was filled with the fragrance of the perfume. But Judas Iscariot, one of his disciples, the one who was to betray him, said, why was this perfume not sold for 300 denarii and the money given to the poor? He said, this is not because he cared about the poor, but because he was a thief. He kept the common purse and used to steal what was put into it. Jesus said, "Leave her alone. She bought it so that she might keep it for the day of my burial. You always have the poor with you, but you do not always have me." So ends the reading.
So we're in our 4th week of Lent, or we're halfway through our Lenten journey. And as we talk about this morning, and we continue our journey with Brueggemann from his book, Sabbath as Resistance, today he talks about not being coerced by the world around us. So I'm going to start by recapping the story that we've had so far following the Israelites. God takes them out of Egypt, takes them to Sinai, makes a covenant with them, gives them the 10 Commandments and says, "Follow these, and all will be good." And they agree. They agree without even hearing the words first. Then some time passes. Moses goes back up on the mountain. He's up there for 40 days and 40 nights. And the people start to get worried. Start to get edgy. They don't know what's going on. They get scared. So they look at Aaron and they say, "Make us a god." He says, "Take off all your jewelry. Bring me all your gold." And he makes a great big golden calf. And they begin to worship the calf. It's at this point that Moses is up on the mountain having words with God, that God gets a little bit peeved. "Get back down there. That's it. They broke the covenant. I'm done." And he goes back down to the people. And he tells them, "What are you doing? He gave us simple rules, and the first one was, I am the Lord your God who brought you out of Egypt. You'll have no other gods before me. Second one, don't make a graven image. I'm gone for a short period of time. And what do? Anybody ever have this happen? Don't drink my soda. And the 3-year-old goes and gets the soda, right? Now, today they got those nice screw-on caps. Back when a lot of you had little ones, it was the cans. Now they just flatten it out for you so it's just sugar water. We have a tendency when things don't go as quick as we think they should to jump ahead, to get worried. I'm not getting answers as quick as I want. Guess I'll have to go do something else. There's got to be something better out there than waiting. What's God do? Sends them out on a wild goose chase, makes them walk around the desert for 40 years. I want you guys to really give thought to that process. I mean, we're used to all of this. Consider living in Nebraska versus the Great North. Here you have trees. You've got wonderful farms. You've got all of this beauty around us. Rivers and lakes. I got to Nebraska and told me about the state lakes. And I went to them. They buy really big speedboats there to go on these Great Lakes with. So I was expecting something big. You can't get them up to quarter throttle before you hit the other shore. And I'm like, well, it seems like a desert. But even that's not as bad as what the Israelites had. They were literally in the desert. Sand. What do you grow in sand? Anything? Cactus. Who here wants to eat cactus? How about water? Who here likes water? Kind of hard to find in the desert, isn't it? Unless you find a cactus. There might be some there. Anybody here not fond of being out in the heat for long periods of time? And who here likes the feeling of sand everywhere? Anybody who's ever served in the military and been in the desert knows what I'm talking about. It's in every crevice. They're wandering through this. They don't have food. They come up against Moses and Aaron and said, "Why did you bring us out here to die?" God gives them manna and quail, and this is what they're supposed to do. But even that they have a hard time following the rules on. Mind you, God has told them, no covenant. I'm done. You broke it. They return to Sinai. They're about to enter the promised land that God promises to them. Moses goes back up on the mountain. He comes back down with 2 new tablets. But they're not exactly like the first one. He's got more rules this time. And he's changed some of them. For instance, the one on Sabbath. The original one says, "I, the Lord your God, created all things in 6 days, and on the 7th day I rested. Therefore, on the 7th day you shall rest." This time, he doesn't give any reason, any motivation for it. He simply says, "You will honor the Sabbath day and keep it holy." This includes plowing time and harvest time. Why? Why would God suddenly get so harsh? How many farmers do I have in the room? Any? How many of you grew up on a farm? Okay, that works. Storm's coming. It's harvest time. It's Sunday. What's going to happen? Go out and get that harvest, right? Why? Why do we go get the harvest? Well, because if we don't, we lose the crop, right? If we lose the crop, we lose the money. If we lose the money, we can't pay the banker. We don't pay the banker, we lose the farm. So, we go get the crop. But God is looking at it and saying, you're not going to do that. You're going to place your faith in the creation that I made. Now, it goes against everything that we would consider common sense, right? Common sense says go out and get it. God says no. No, I don't want you to. And here's why. Moses knew something and understood something that I think we've forgotten. He had these Israelites who have been wandering around the desert for 40 years, right? By the way, 40 years is a generation. This is an important point for all of us to understand. It took 40 years for the first generation that was part of that first covenant to pass away. There's a new generation. And Moses makes a point of telling them that this isn't just for the past generation, but it's new for each generation. Guess who that includes? Us. Every one of us who claims God to be our God, who claims to be in covenant with that God, follows this covenant. But they've been out wandering in the desert for so long. They've not been able to grow a thing. They're about to come into some of the most fertile land in the Middle East, where they're going to be able to plant crops. And not just crops, but crops. They're going to be able to make money. They're going to be able to eat like they haven't eaten in 40 years. They are going to be able to prosper. And Brueggemann uses a term that I think is so important. Prosperity breeds amnesia. Would anybody here disagree with that? Let me ask you this. When do you pray the hardest? Never. Oh! Way too honest. Way too honest, but he's probably right. When do we pray? We hit our knees to pray when it gets bad, right? God, help me. Why is this happening? Help me right now. I need you. Forget the fact that I've forgotten about you for the last 40 years. I need you now. Help me. Because when we were prosperous, we didn't need him, right? It's easy to forget about God when everything's good. This is why every pastor knows that it's really hard to be in a church that has money. Because churches that have money tend to get lazy. They tend to forget they're prospering, and they tend to forget that there's work to do. They tend to forget that the church doesn't run if you don't open your wallet, if you don't participate, if you don't give up your time. They forget. So prosperity breeds amnesia. And these folks are about to be prosperous. Right? They're getting a land that's going to be fertile. Moses doesn't want them to forget that. Moses also doesn't want them to forget about their God. Because they're going into a land of all those different people that you heard about this morning. The Jebusites, the Hittites, Canaanites. They're going in there, and each of these people have a God. And each one has rules. Well, maybe I don't like that Sabbath rule. Oh, but I like this rule over here. Oh, yeah, dance and party. Yeah, I'm good with the dance and party part. That honor the Sabbath thing, Love your neighbor? Right? He's worried that they're going to be pulled to these other gods. He's worried that they're going to get prosperous and forget about their God. He's worried that they're going to forget their roots and where they came from. Has that ever happened? Have we forgotten our roots? How many people have heard the term old money and new money? Right? People who come from old money, next generation inherits it, and they're kind of good with the money, and then the next generation inherits it. They've had everything they wanted, so they're okay with the money, and you get down the line, and all of a sudden the money goes away. Right? Or they don't appreciate what they have. Or we forget about our families and our roots. How hard the generations before us had to work to have that farm, to have the little things they had. I get a kick out of doing Bible studies and book studies, and finding out when TVs and phones and electricity and indoor plumbing came into people's homes, and how late in our society it came into the homes. They've been around for a while, but they couldn't afford these luxuries. Indoor plumbing. How many people consider that a luxury? You better. If you've ever used an outhouse at 40 below, it's a luxury, right? Electricity. How many people consider it a luxury? How about your car? Remember when you used to have to walk to church? No? Neither do I. These are all luxuries that we now consider necessity. Things that not so many years ago weren't necessities, but luxuries. And now we pay out thousands on thousands on thousands of dollars a year to have these luxuries that we can't do without. Moses understood something about people. He understood how easy it was to forget about our God. So then he really starts talking about what are these things we're free from now, that we don't have to be coerced by society for. And he starts listing them off. Well, we're free to have a Sabbath. We're free to rest. How many people here feel free to rest? You and my retirees feel free to rest. We're free from having to constantly work. God made that clear. Not only free, but we're commanded to actually take some time. We're free from having to constantly purchase and work. We're free from that Pharaoh system. We don't have to buy all the time, do we? We're in a throwaway world, right? Lawnmower breaks, you throw it out and buy a new one. It's cheaper to go out and buy a new one now than it is to fix it most of the time, because I don't know how that engine runs. It takes too long for me to figure it out. So I toss it out and get a new one. If that's not your thing, how about those little cellular devices we've got? Got to have a new one every couple of years, right? How many people remember having the same phone in their house for about 20, 25 years? My mom did. It's the one that had the knotted cord on it. It was a ball about this big, and it would stretch all the way across the kitchen. You had to actually... But now, we get a new phone every couple of years, and got to have the newest and latest gadgets on it. Guilty. Technology. We're free from having to be coerced by people to tell us we're not good enough, we're not pretty enough, we're not skinny enough, we don't make enough. We're free from those coercions. Because God is calling us to go against those things in society, including during harvest and plowing time. So the banker's going to look at you if you don't go out when the harvest comes in. I'm sorry, Roger, I put it in. But he's going to think you're an idiot if you didn't go out and do it, right? What if? What if the storm hits and you lose the crop? But you put your faith in God. Maybe it's your time to not be the one who helps, but the one to be helped. We all know the stories, right? We all know how community will gather around somebody when a disaster happens. You ever watch what that does to a community? We got that story over and over again within this community. Somebody's husband passes away, and the community comes together, gets the crop up, helps get the house set up, helps take care of whatever needs are there at that time. The community comes together, and they become tight-knit. They're no longer kind of a community, but they're right there. They're beloved by the person being helped, and that person is beloved in a way that they had never been before. Because you walk into a person's life at their most vulnerable, most horrific time, and you see them for the person they truly are. Not the face that we put on Sunday mornings, right? How many people took time to get ready this morning? More than a half hour? I'm going home. It shouldn't take me that long then. We put our faces on. We prepare ourselves. We smile even when we're so down it's not funny. Because it's not right to not be happy coming to church. God frees us from that coercion. Sometimes we have to be the one to be helped, rather than always being the helper. Now, does that mean there's going to be some rough times ahead? Anybody here gone through rough times? Better question. Let me see a show of hands of people that haven't had rough times. Everything's been peachy keen all their life. No one? Ever have to rely on anybody else? Have you come out on the other side different and better person? God's got a plan. See, but we got to stop listening to the world. We don't have to be programmed and built. We can take time off. By the way, yes, I'm preaching to the choir. The world won't stop simply because you're not abiding by its standards. For all my parents out there, the kids don't have to be in every event. If they don't happen to do ballet and you don't go broke paying for it, I'm going to guess they're going to turn out just as well as you did when you didn't have ballet. When Mom and Dad looked at you and said, I'd love to let you play hockey, but I can't afford $600 a year. Does that mean you can't let them do things? No. But you don't have to meet every standard that the world sets before you. God says, I created you. You are mine. You are precious. You are right for who you are at this moment in time. And all I ask in return, love me, love neighbor, and love self. In that order, by the way, folks. We kind of forget that sometimes. Every time you hear it, love God, love neighbor, love self. It should give us an idea of where we should put our priorities. But if the world is always telling us we got to do more, you're just not doing enough for those kids. If you put in an extra 40 hours a week, if you'd love them just a little bit more, they would all be angels. They would all be Einstein. Some of them are there. They'd all be Einstein. They'd become rich and never have any problems whatsoever. Anybody ever have money really make anything go away other than debt? Might make you happy for a little bit, but is it going to make you happy forever? How many people here have run the rat race only to get to the end of it and go, why did I bother with that? I ran my entire week only to find out it didn't matter to anybody. One of my favorite stories growing up, about 34, 35 when it happened. I was one of those kids that always wanted to fit in. I always wanted to be part of the cool crowd. Never could quite make it. I didn't dress right. I spoke too much. That surprises you, I know. I say the wrong things at the wrong time. Pretty girl would walk up in front of me. I might have a little pretty girl. I never fit in. And I always thought, oh, those cool kids, they had it all together. Hey, the girls I liked, they were good straight A's, they were part of the cheerleading squad, they were part of the basketball, they did all these things. Yeah, basketball. There's my verdict, folks. I ain't playing. Wrestling, I'm a little closer to the ground. That I can do. But I wasn't part of the in crowd. Then I ran into a girl that I just always wanted to date when I was younger. Never asked her because she was part of that crowd. And, why bother even stepping up that high? Out of my league by leaps and bounds. We're talking. We've been married 3 times. And her and I were conversing. Why didn't you ever ask me out? Are you kidding me? I'm the guy that you guys used to make fun of. You wouldn't have said yes. I was always waiting. When I found out that day, and then later on, I was talking to all the cool kids, they were just as confused, just as scared. They just hid it better. Hello, cool kids. You hide it better, don't you? You got it all together. Everything's great here, right? Everybody here got it all together. We can all go home. We don't have to worry. No. We're all sitting here trying to figure it out. And rather than sitting and holding hands and singing Kumbaya, we're sitting here going, well, she's got to figure it out. I can't talk. I'm all by myself. Where's the wise kids? Kids? Where's the wise? God made you. You're precious. Learn it now so you're not 40, 50, 60 years old, still trying to run the rat race and fit in. How many people are here are still running the rat race to fit in? Looking next door, trying to figure out how you're going to make it to retirement, trying to figure out how you're going to get the bigger house, how you're going to be able to do this or do that, how you're going to get down to that size you were when you were 18. I got news for you. We're never getting there, folks. I'm shorter than I ever was at 18. Bones have moved from where they were. Ladies all know how that one works, right? You're not going to fit back into those jeans that you were in at 18. And if you're too great, if that's your end all be all, you're going to miss out on so much. Because you're going to stop seeing people for who they are. And the world is going to continue to coerce you, not tempt you. I want to make a difference. Brueggemann uses his word in a very interesting way. Because these are all temptations, right? The temptation to go out and make more money, the temptation to go out and do this and do that. No. He's saying coercion. You know the difference between being tempted and being coerced? Tempted, I just lay the cake out on the table. Coerced, I cut the cake, I set it down in front of you, I start cutting it, I make the spoon, I bring it all the way up, and I hold it under your nose until you open your mouth. Anybody ever feed a 3-year-old? This is how it's done, right? That's coercion. We're pushed. Watch TV. Listen to the news. Listen to pop psychology that tells you your kids are not going to turn out okay if you don't just do it this way. How many of you turned out horrible not having done ballet? Stand up, Tony. I'll show you how to pirouette. We'll make it perfect for you. How many people did okay without having the latest, greatest technology? They could open books. We read. How many people did okay having neighborhood friends? Got in a little bit of trouble, had some fun, but turned out okay? How many people have done okay trying to take their faith journey? Or are we coerced further and further away from church? Further and further away from God. God says, take a Sabbath. Take some rest. Be neighborly. One of the beautiful things I'm seeing happen as we're doing this book group is to talk to people as they start to practice their Sabbath stuff and to listen to stories as they begin to take this journey and how it's changing for them. Little changes. Now, Brueggemann does one other thing in this part of the book that I'm going to challenge you all to. He calls it 7-ing your life. That seventh day is a Sabbath. On that day, we're all supposed to be equals. Now, that's hard to imagine, right? Because some of you produce better, right? We know who produces better. I mean, no offense, but I'm not coming to you if I want my engine fixed. Hi, Glenn. I'm going to the person who produces better for it. But today they're equals. Today, you're equals. See, because today, God looks at us and says, there's no slave, child, son, daughter, husband, wife. There's none of this imbalance. Tomorrow during the day, there's going to be some imbalance, isn't there? Some of us are good at one thing and not at another. That's the fact. I don't work on my own car. I don't work. I'm planting and harvesting. Pastor, not preacher. Or not. Bye-bye. Pastor, not farmer. Not mechanic. Not engineer. Pastor. I'm good at it, I think. Some they are. But that's where my gifts lie. Whatever they're like. Tomorrow there will be a difference. But today, we're considered equal. We're all supposed to rest. We're all supposed to partake in God. We're all supposed to love one another. And what Brueggemann brings out is that equality, that equity, I should say, of being God's creator goes into tomorrow, Tuesday, 24/7, 365. And as we take this journey, as we take that Sabbath that we have, and we're practicing, and we start getting better at it, it's going to bleed over into Monday. And then how we look at things will bleed over from Monday into Tuesday. And suddenly we begin to set in our lives. We begin to look at people differently, to love them differently, to cherish them differently. And to understand that this covenant that God made isn't just for us, but for us as in the world. And if we let ourselves follow God and intentionally do not be coerced by what the world is telling us, the world will change. If in no other space, just right here. Right? Because the way in which I treat you differently will reflect and change how you treat the next one. Can I move the mountain by myself? No. I sure can move a good portion of it with everybody. And that's part of that Sabbath of being neighbor. Part of not being coerced by the world that tells you you have to be something God never created you to be. I'm fairly certain that Tony was not called to be a mother. I don't think he can birth a child. Not a mom. If he tries to be, it'll look rather odd. He was called to be something else. He wasn't called to be me, and I wasn't called to be him. We've led different lives, we're on different journeys. But God is here to journey with you today. And He's asking you to take a Sabbath, to stop. Love God, love neighbor, and stop long enough and rest enough to love yourself. Don't be coerced by the world. Or as Paul put it, don't be conformed to the world, but in spirit and mind, in the heart, be transformed by the God who calls you today to a Sabbath.